Energy Regulation Board (ERB) verified it is not in of any application from ZESCO Limited to vary its connection charge as legally required. ZESCO is further to strict adherence of governing conditions in its standards for the supply of electricity. And the statement reports the power utility company has increased electricity connection fees. ERB in a statement, however, said change in whatever form as reported on various platforms is null and void. Accordingly, members of the are therefore urged to add the reported revised charge for electricity connection of meters. The Supreme Court has overturned the liquidation of the Post Newspaper Limited. The court nullified all processes undertaken by the liquidator, thus the company as to its original status. The Post News closed in 2016 alleged failure to settle tax in what has been described as a vetted move by the paper's frequent criticism then ruling Patriot Front PF. In its landmark judgment Thursday, today, the 17th February 2022, the court notes liquidation of the was illegal. The court has, however, ordered the process being restarted in High Court under a new judge so that the Lord Chief Justice Marshall be joined to the proceedings and made to account even though may have finished selling the assets of the defunct newspaper. This means liquidation of the newspaper will have to restart afresh. The liquidator, Mr. Marshall, shall appear before the High Court as a third party liquidation case which will be so that he can be heard. He was not part of the case in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ordered Post newspaper workers who petitioned for the liquidation to pay costs to Fred Membe for the appeal. The 5 employees who petitioned the Lusaka High Court for winding up of the company are Roy Habalu, Abel Mbozi, Mwenda Mwene, Bonaventure Bwalia, Ruchiwenda, the Chief Justice with Judge Albert Wood and Judge Chinyama. This means that it takes over the company and the court hears the petition liquidation afresh following the Supreme Court decision.
After being closed for more than 5 years, the Supreme Court has today, 17th of February 2022, ruled that the post liquidation case be reopened in the Lusaka High Court under a new judge, with a view to ensuring compliance with relevant legal provision. Judgment delivered Thursday, 7th of February 2022, Supreme Court led by Chief Justice Malila has held all the liquidator prior to the post liquidation of the Post News Limited, stating that they are of no legal effect. The court ordered that the liquidator Marshall shall appear before the High Court party to the liquidation case which will be restarted so that he was not part of the case in the Supreme. However, the court notes that the time has passed since liquidation. However, such passage of time has sanitized the wrongful manner in which the liquidation was conducted. The court said liquidator Marshall may have concluded liquidation and seemingly the picture. Furthermore, he was not part of the winding up of the petition. This is in a matter where Lewis Marshall had taken action against the Post newspaper to sell its assets and properties in 2016, following a complaint by 5 of its then employees who petitioned the Lusaka High Court for the winding up of the company on ground that the company had failed to pay them their salaries. And on 2nd of November 2016, the Post newspaper was placed under provisional liquidation by the Lusaka High Court Judge Sunday Nkonde. And to this effect, the court presided over by 3 Supreme Court judges, led by Justice Mumba Malila, have nullified the liquidator's action on ground that the manner in which the liquidation was effected is fraudulent and in breach of the law. Therefore, all those that bought shares of the said property are holding on to the property illegally. Margaret Chota, Muvi TV News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the declaration has been hailed as a big win in the fight for media freedom in the country, and in a press statement, Livingston Press Club President Messi Ngoma says this development is a big win for the media fraternity who continue to work under difficult conditions in quest to disseminate information to the masses.
So as Livingston Press Club, we do welcome the overturning of the liquidation of the Post newspaper. The Post newspaper, as you may know, played a very pivotal role as regards giving checks and balances to the government. Then the Post newspaper also provided employment, and it also provided the much needed information to the public. So really the overturning of the liquidation of the newspaper for us, it really brings us joy. But we also call on media houses to continue being professional as well as following media ethics.
The ruling United Party for National Development in Southern Province has taken interest to remarks attributed to former Lusaka Province Minister Boma Lusambo that some people working in government are his informants. Party Information and Publicity Secretary Neto Halwabala says relevant agencies should swing into action and establish who is undermining the current administration through the leakage of information. Mr. Halwabala accuses some ungrateful civil servants of abusing the goodwill of President Hakainde Hichilema, who has placed professionalism at the core of his administration. And in a separate interview, NDC faction member of the Central Committee, Paul Sensele, has urged Mr. Lusambo to allow the court to vindicate him if indeed he is innocent from corruption allegations. Mr. Sensele says the opposition should not always be judgmental, but offer checks and balances in a respectable and responsible manner.
Police, we are one, okay? Because I've been good to the police. And the police, they have been good to me.
UPND Southern Province Information and Publicity Secretary Neto Halwabala says Boma Lusambo's claim that the fight against corruption by government is political holds no water. Speaking in an interview with Muvi TV, Mr. Halwabala says he should not try to undermine the new Don government's ability to root out corruption.
So it is just in order for law enforcers to follow those who were in charge. Why should they run away from answering questions if in a certain ministry there's something that is missing? It is the former people who were there who should account for. If at all there is someone who was told to build a school and that school was not built, instead that person who was told to build a school built his own mansion, it is the responsibility of the law enforcers to ask. You were given the responsibility of building a school here, but this school was not built, instead it is your house. Can you account? Is that being malicious? The answer is no. So these people, they should not try to cry as if they are being crucified the way Jesus was crucified. No. These people are plunderers. They are criminals.
He says a self-confession by Lusambo that there are some informants leaking government information should be investigated by authorities.
But those statements coming from Boma and Lusambo are a clear indication that we have an element of criminality. This is a serious offense where you are planning to sabotage the government operation. So for us, I think Boma and Lusambo's statement should not be ignored. Boma and Lusambo's confession should now open a new chapter for the police or the investigative wings to identify who are those who are still in the system who are trying to sabotage.
And NDC faction member of Central Committee, Mr. Paul Sensele, has advised Mr. Bowman to desist from having told claims without proof and proper evidence.
My advice to Bowman Lusambo that he should revisit the advice that he was given by the chief from his village, that he toned down Bowman. Otherwise, with this arrogance, he will not go anywhere. He was in MMD, he claimed to say, I am bulldozer, or whatever names he called himself, strong-hearted and so forth.
Mr. Sensele says he should not be overconfident as the law will visit him soon and should not have a person of vendetta against a person that is trying to clean up their mess.
We are not refusing. Checks and balances are very constructive in politics, but the way you behave also matters. If you want to undermine the government of the day, you're wasting your time. And you're asking for trouble for yourself. And I want to emphasize that as a New Dawn Alliance, let's sit and strategize to revamp the Zambian economy. These guys store a lot to an extent that they have really disturbed the economy.
He has since urged the Patriotic Front not to be tribalistic but should forget all their grievances and work together with government, as His Excellence has nothing against the party. Prudence Mitelo reporting for Muvi TV News in Livingston.
Economic and Equity Party EEP leader Chilufya Tahali has criticized the new administration of going against his electoral promise of a lean government. Mr. Tahali is shocked President Hakainde Hichilema is slowly bloating his administration when he promised otherwise. He was reacting to the appointment of 4 permanent secretaries in charge of special duties and several advisors to the presidential office. Mr. Tahali was speaking on Wednesday edition of the special interview.
To quote what the director, the spokesperson for the information minister, because our information minister has got a spokesperson. So I will quote the spokesperson of the information minister, who is my good brother Tavo Kawana. I mean, a very good spokesperson. That was quite an initiative, though I find the way he was brought into the ministry as going through the window, because really, I mean, when you're a director, you're supposed to be a professional who is supposed to, compete with others. It's supposed to be through an application and everything. Anyway, that is a story for another day. But quoting what the spokesperson for the government spokesperson said, he said, government has a structure and we have not created these positions. They have been there. And I take his word for it. These positions have been there and they have been filled. Now, so from that point of view, on the structure point of view, fine, we will accept.
What raises the eyebrows then?
Yes, what raises the eyebrow is, let's go back to President Hakainde Hichilema in opposition. He was talking about lean government. We have to I'm going to run a lean government. And unfortunately, it seems ina imupita kuleft mdala. Na filwa to maintain those ways. He has failed to maintain keeping a lean government. If anything, this government seems to be more bloated than that of President Edgar Chagwalungu. Because how many ministries did they scrap off? Very few, if maybe not 3 or 4. But they have created other. Look, go to State House. There are so many people. And now even these ones, special duties. Clearly, where you can see that people are doing job on training and they are lost on what to do. Because even that special duties, they can't explain what these guys are doing. What special duties? What special duties are they doing? I mean, Wakawana failed to explain what special duties means. I mean, in government, there is no obscurity. In government, there is no obscurity because you run on policy. So, when you are creating a position for this one, you even give them a job description of what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. Now, those special duties, government, what is special duties? We can't understand. So this one, Nichi Pante, my brother, this is where the new Don Nawamdala HH, this is where they have gotten it all wrong.
And speaking on the same platform, former Finance Deputy Minister Jonas Shakafuswa called on Zambians to give President Hichilema chance to govern. The former Katuba Member of Parliament says the head of state inherited a corrupt and broke country which needs time to repair. He disputed claims that the new Dawn administration has targeted certain tribes in its fight against corruption, saying those who have called by the law enforcement agencies to account for their wealth should politely do so.
Position to actually competently say how they have how they're doing, because you see, to start with, UPND came in and took over an economy which is on its knees. Yes, they promised, but the promises they made were based on the resources of the country. Now you're looking at a situation where Zambia today, we are in debt. And our budget, you'll find that about 70% of the budget maybe will go towards debt repayment. Find you're in government and you deny the people that, then you're perpetuating poverty. You're perpetuating suffering by your people.
Right.
And in a nation where it's a wealth nation like Zambia, you will be surprised that poverty levels are very, very high because of bad leadership. It can be brought to a stop.
Right.
People just have to be scared in the management of the resources of the people of Zambia. I think lessons have to be learned where those who are managing the resources on behalf of the people of Zambia have to realize that the people who ask for accountability in whatever they're doing. So even when you look at the caliber of people we are hiring into to save the people of Zambia, which will ensure that these people, they go there to serve. If their role is to admire the lifestyle of the people who are there and they want to amass wealth, they should realize that corruption shouldn't just be for PF, it should be fought within UPND as well. Looking at the Zambian economy, the projection of this year is growth going towards 4%.
Right.
Growth going towards 4% won't be growth which will spur the Zambian economy into an airlift. And for us to actually realize maybe the dreams, aspirations of the people of Zambia, President HH has to go out to people who've got the capital, impress them. And you see, usually, especially like for the Western countries, you'll find they actually give assistance which comes from the taxes of their people. But what they want, where they apply the money, they want to make sure that the people they're applying the money to will prudently use that money, where that money will be used for the benefit of the people. So what President HH is doing at the moment is to go back and says, if you've seen our misusing resources, that thing is going to come to the past, and me, I will ensure that whatever we receive goes to the benefit of the people. He has to go and clear the image of Zambia so that the image of Zambia is cleaned for people to.
Nalolo Member of Parliament Imanga Wamunyima has revealed most of the children that had stopped going to school in his constituency have since returned. Mr. Wamunyima says during a tour of schools in the area, he found children who had stopped because of their parents were unable to pay for them are back in school. And the sole party for the National Unity and Progress, PNUP MP, says the onus is now up to the parents and the children to take the offer seriously. He says government deserves commendation for introducing free education because many disadvantaged children will be educated. And Mr. Wamunyima has disclosed that he has prioritized the provision of enhanced education and quality health delivery in his constituency. He was speaking during Thursday's edition of the Breakfast Show.
Well, that district hospital is on the western side of Nalolo, which houses 60% of the population of the constituency.
Right.
So I'm lobbying or actively engaging that hospital is given basic equipment, and when the recruitment of staff is done, we have medicalizations there, so that we do not have to transport people from the western side to Mungu or Senanga. I'm telling you that for you to transport people from there, you have to use a 4x4 vehicle and you need 200 liters of fuel. So one referral who needs to have an x-ray, you need 3,600 kwacha to transport them. So I think it is cheaper to complete the hospital, because the government is spending a lot of money in transporting. And this was a subject of discussion yesterday in Parliament.
Yes.
It came up as a question from me to the Minister of Health.
Okay.
And she responded that it is in their plan to give the people of Nalolo health care workers medicalizations. And in the interim, before the recruitment is done, a doctor will be sent, because I'm telling you now that the district did not have a doctor, qualified doctor.
The business community in Kazungula district has called on the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprise to consider legalizing and promoting small and micro businesses apart from the forming of cooperatives only, as the only basis one can access empowerment funds. Chamber of Commerce, Trade and Industry Branch Chairperson Aaron Daka says government needs to focus on other already established business entities because there is no guarantee that all newly registered cooperatives will succeed at once. He is also calling on the local authority to consider reducing some taxes because most businesses in the district are still recovering from the effects of COVID-19 had on their operations.
So man circulation is very poor in our town, so it's affecting our performance as businessmen. But those are things that if the government can come and intervene and put in measures that can improve the situation, we'll be very happy and we'll be able to grow. Possible. Through the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, they can start identifying people who are already in business, small and micro, like marketeers, chicken breeders, carpenters, welders. Those already have got a dream which they've implemented themselves. And if you capitalize those, even as small as 5,000, it will make a big difference. And it will mean that they can grow. And as you are aware, the major employer of unskilled youth is the micro and small businesses as the small businesses. So if we can grow overnight, it means we shall employ more unskilled youth within our vicinity. And we are the major suppliers of goods and services at the moment in Kazungula. So if we grow, it means the supply of goods and services will improve. So it is important that Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises recognizes those already existing, then forming cooperatives, which normally have been a failure from the beginning. From the 1940s in Russia, China, even under UNIP in Zambia, they failed miserably. So repeating the same mistake, expecting the same change of results, it can't work out. So let's identify those who are already in business and support them to grow. Then paying and actually signing, you have to pay for that. But things like garbage collection, yes, there's a cost input into them. Things like fire, there's a cost input in them. Those who can pay something actually as a contribution to the service. Then I think the other problem that we're having in our town as Kazungula is that there's a small population, which means there's a small market for actually our products and services. But as the town is growing, we're hoping that will be sorted out in due course, but it will take about maybe 3-4 years from now. And the other similar to that is we've got a small working class.
You're still watching the primetime news on Muvi TV. For now, we take our first set of commercials. We have more stories after that.
Bet your way with Betway.
Travel to and from South Africa with Rwanda Air as we offer 20% off discount for flights. Sales period between 25th January to 28th February. Buy your tickets now through Rwanda Air. Fly the dream of Africa.
Istana ya Afrika ya kubende chalo akamwana kanono nomsepela kwikala chapamo kuribe kumunzi kuribe mutauni kumatelo aliyenze afunika.
The Zambia Statistics Agency will this year conduct the census across the country. The census aims to count people in households, rural and urban, hospitals, military, police and correctional facilities. This numbering will extend to hotels, farms, as well as high-density areas with different families sharing a house and those in transitory locations. Every person in the country matters and should be counted because the census will benefit all, from migrants, refugees and street children, homeless people, the young and the old people, as well as persons with disabilities. Everyone counts. This message is brought to you by the Zambia Statistics Agency.
Where's Bob? Anyone seen Bob? Has anyone seen Bob? 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 Bob?
Over here.
Where?
Over here.
How did you get in there?
With my Airtel Money MasterCard.
Airtel Money MasterCard? But you don't even have a bank account. How did you get a card?
Well, it's not a card, but it works just like one. It's virtual, so no plastic, and it's safer.
But what are you doing there?
I want to buy Nancy a birthday gift, book my flight tickets, renew my Big Click subscription, and order a shipment.
For all things online, the Airtel Money MasterCard. It's not a card, but works just like one. Get one on the Airtel Money menu on your phone.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The National Youth Development Council, NYDC, has disclosed an increase in the number of registration for cooperatives among young people. Council Secretary David Musonda attributes the development to several empowerment opportunities following an increase in the Constituency Development Fund CDF by the New Dawn administration.
Okay.
Currently, as of now, we stand on a database of 5,819 registered youth organizations countrywide. Between January and today, the 17th of February 2022, we've recorded 187 new youth registrations. And when we look at how we've increased in terms of how many youth organizations have registered with the National Youth Development Council, in 2020 we were sitting with a database of 808, and we want to see this growth continue expanding. And because of that, we've taken advantage of the pronouncements in the 2022 national budget. The Minister of Finance outlined a number of areas government would want to provide support to the citizens. And good enough, in quite a number of those, the young people has been recognized or have been recognized as key stakeholders in what government would want to see happen. In the area of agriculture, livestock and fisheries, in that sector, they're saying they'll support small-scale farmers. They're also saying they want to see support businesses around agriculture, around livestock, and around fisheries begin to blossom. But how are they going to do it? How is government planning to do this? They say, look, people need to form cooperatives. Then we said, hey, there is an opportunity. Cooperatives, then let's heighten the formation of youth cooperatives so that they begin to benefit from those incentives. Under the Ministry of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises, there is another 350 million that has been set aside to support small and medium enterprises. Who have a stake there? The young people. How will they benefit? It's also, that is also requesting that people form cooperatives. So another window for the National Development Council to register as many young people as possible. Then the big one, the increase in the constituency development funds from 1.6 million to 25.7 million kwacha. And then there, a percentage has been allocated. They say, look, out of these funds, 20% has been reserved for youth and women. So what are we doing? So we said, team, let's get into the provinces. Before we even get there, let's send the right messages up to constituency levels. Build, to support, and to link to available opportunities so that even as they conduct their regular business or activities, they exactly know the path to walk. If they meet hurdles, they can get back and consult us. And if those hurdles they will meet or bottlenecks that they will meet hinge on another institution, nothing stops us as the National Development Council to write to that institution to help such a youth organization overcome those hurdles that may exist. So we're saying we need also to facilitate the training of these young people in entrepreneurship programs, literacy programs, so that they become fully backed even as they run their various projects, their various enterprises, their various agricultural and any other.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development has appealed to the new Dawn administration to disclose to the nation details of the economic reforms it had planned to undertake. CTPD Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo notes with concern while citizens have seen a number of changes being undertaken by the current government, it remains unclear if these changes are part of the economic reforms it had planned to undertake. Mr. Mwaipopo was speaking in an interview with Muvi TV News.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development would like to appeal to government through the Ministry of Finance to disclose the details of the economic reforms they plan to undertake. While we have seen a number of changes being made by the current government, it remains unclear if at all these changes are part of the economic reforms it plans to undertake. It is very critical that these economic reforms are shared with the public, and it will help various stakeholders such as the private sector to position themselves in terms of how they can provide support to the reforms. Secondly, from the Center for Trade Policy and Development, we remain greatly concerned with the lack of a clear policy direction with regards to how the MSMEs sector will be organized. I would like to also make an appeal to the ministry that is in charge of MSMEs to give a clear policy direction with regards to how it seeks to provide support to our MSMEs. This is very important if we are to have a proper representation of our MSMEs. They also need to know in clear terms the vehicle that government will use to provide support and the form of support that will actually be provided.
Ministry of Agriculture in Southern Province is expecting a reduction in crop yields for various crops during the 2021-2022 season following the floods that hit certain districts. Southern Province Agricultural Coordinator Dr. Max Jombe made this disclosure after a spot check tour of flooded fields in Kalomo, Kazungula and Namwala districts, and Headman Shamyumba of Chief Mungaila's chiefdom in Namwala said he lost 2.5 hectares of maize due to floods.
Agriculture in Southern Province is expecting a reduction in crop yields for various crops during the 2021-2022 season following the floods that hit certain districts. Southern Province Agriculture Coordinator Dr. Max Chombe made the disclosure after a spot check tour of flooded fields in Kalomo, Kazungula and Namwala districts.
Most fields were not planted because of the same floods. By the time they wanted to plant, you find that they were not able because of heavy rains. And also another thing that we have noticed is that a large number of fields which should have been cultivated were not cultivated because of, one, the floods, and secondly because the rains started late. So those are the factors that will make the province not harvest as much as we normally harvest as a province.
And Headman Siamumba of Chief Mungaila's chiefdom in Namwala district said he lost 2.5 hectares of maize due to floods.
When we planted, we received a lot of rain, and germination of maize was poor because of water. In this area, we have a big growth.
Meanwhile, Namwala Acting Crop Husbandry Officer Emmanuel Mianda implored farmers to practice smart climate agriculture technologies such as reaping with minimum soil disturbance as compared to conventional farming that is susceptible to flooding.
You practice conservation farming and you reap towards the onset of the rains, then the crop will sustain and even the yields will increase.
Reporting, Lawrence Kabutu in Namwala.
The Lusaka City Council, through the Prosecution Unit has secured convictions of 4 institutions with a total fine of more than 30,000 kwacha for failure to subscribe to an authorized waste collector in their area of operation. Council Public Relations Manager Mwaka Nakweti discloses 133 businesses had been recommended for prosecution due to failure to subscribe to waste management services as prescribed by the law. Among them is a private school, apartment building, and a lodge and a mobile service provider. Ms. Nakweti says the 4 companies between 1st January and 31st of December 2021 failed to register with a licensed and authorized solid waste provider in their nearest zones for the purpose of accessing waste collection services. She has, however, appealed to households and companies who are in the habit of not subscribing to authorized waste collectors to do so or risk being prosecuted.
The prosecution unit has secured convictions for 4 institutions with a total fine of 33,000 kwacha for failure to subscribe to an authorized waste collector in their area of operation. Among them is a private school, an apartment building, a lodge, and a mobile service provider. The 4 companies between 1st January and 31st December 2021 failed to register with a licensed and authorized solid waste provider in their nearest zones for the purpose of accessing waste collection services. And this is contrary to the Solid Waste Regulation and Management Act number 20 of 2018 of the laws of Zambia. On 29th January 2022, the local authority had reported that 133 businesses had been recommended for prosecution due to their failure to subscribe to waste management services as prescribed by the law. We therefore appeal to households and companies who are in the habit of not subscribing to authorized waste collectors to do so or risk being prosecuted. Members of the public can verify with the local authority which waste collector has been assigned to their area before subscribing to avoid being inconvenienced.
And we go for another set of commercials. We still have more stories. Stay tuned.
Yes! She said yes! 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 She said yes! Chawama! Congrats, bro!
What?
We'll be there. Last Sunday of next month.
Ew, are you here?
You may give her the ring.
Everyone, say to Firai! One day, I'll give you the world.
Oh, you already have.
One expert. Anyone can get lucky.
University College is enrolling students for the January-April 2022 intake in the following: School of Education, Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood Education, Bachelor of Education in Primary Education, Bachelor of Education in Secondary Education, Bachelor of Education in Special Education, Diploma in Early Childhood Education, Diploma in Primary Education, Diploma in Secondary Education, Diploma in Special Education, Certificate in Early Childhood Education, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, Diploma in Public Relations, School of Hotel and Tourism, Diploma in Food and Production, Diploma in Front Office, Diploma in Food and Beverages Management, Diploma in Hospitality and Events Management, and Diploma in Sales and Marketing. For more information, visit us at Regent College along Kwazi Road or the North Mid Campus at plot number 11 Luamba Road, Lusaka, or call us on 0955 787114 or 0966 787114 or 0977 787114. Fairview University College. We aim at excellence.
Welcome back. Now, Golden Party of Zambia, GPZ leader Jackson Silavwe, has stated Lusaka is a dirty city. He tells Muvi TV News the level of filthy and chaos, especially along Chachacha, Freedom and Lumumba roads in Lusaka, is alarming. Mr. Silavwe says vehicles park in the middle of the lanes and uncollected garbage along the streets make for an unpleasant environment in the central business district of the country's capital. He argues the capital city can be clean and orderly, citing the time armed forces stepped in to prevent an outbreak of cholera. Mr. Silavwe says the local authority is lacking clear, lasting strategies to keep the central business district clean. He has since challenged the Ministry of Local Government and the Lusaka City Council to urgently reset the CBD and bring it to full order. Mr. Silavwe says the ministry must avail to the nation a clean strategic plan to make the city streets healthier and orderly. The Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, CSPR, in partnership with Kasisi Agricultural Training Center, have embarked on training of Ward Development Committees, WDCs, in Rufunsa District to help identify climate resilience projects as they are discussing Constituent Development Fund CDF projects in their areas. Civil Society for Poverty Reduction Project Officer Elvis Chipuka, speaking during a training for Ward Development Committee executive members at Chinyunyu in Wundabunda Chiefdom, says the training is aimed at sensitizing WDCs on the important role they can play in contributing to the fight for climate change through the utilization of the constituency development funds. And Wundabunda Ward Councillor Andrew Mutelo and the Ward Development Committee in the area have welcomed the training, as this will help them solicit and advocate for the use of constituent development funds to mitigate the effects of climate change.
All of us know about climate change. Most of us are affected. But then what are we doing about it?
The impact and effects of climate change is seen and felt by everyone, everywhere in all parts of the country. To mitigate the effects of climate change, the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction Zambia is engaging ward development committees in Rufunsa district to use part of the Constituency Development Fund to help with mitigating the effects of climate change. Civil Society for Poverty Reduction Project Officer Elvis Chipuka is conducting sensitization meetings with ward development committees in Rufunsa and explains the important role ward development committees can play in contributing to the fight against climate change.
So the aim of these trainings is basically to talk about climate change with these WDCs, the elected officials, how it affects communities, and what's the role of these WDCs in coming up with projects, community projects, even as they plan, projects that help in mitigating the effects of climate change. So it could be in areas of agroecology or promoting food diversity.
Bunda Ward Councillor Andrew Mutero and Ward Development Committee Vice Chairperson Lista Mukanda commended the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction for the initiative of engaging communities in mitigating the effects of climate change.
Councillor is very happy with the way we've been working with the CSPR. They are advocating, they are brainstorming us, helping us get information to the people and indeed the community where we live. Like you know, this area being a rural area set up, people are not so much on top of things when it comes to climate change. Like we might be aware that this area is people have been benefiting from charcoal and various other illicit activities that are detrimental to climate change. Hence, I'm grateful that CSPR has come on board advocating for this wonderful cause. Indeed, this fight is not only for CSPR, but it's for the community.
Inkanya matetera kuno gopunzira ifedwa kondora maningi mpaka pakanya climate change. Na pa CDF tipempa kuti inkani tifuka kusebenzera kuti CDF inkalepo kanya climate change. Kuti nafe tione kusinta kwanye utiza kusiza bwanje mu community mwatu.
Reporting in Rufunsa district, I am Msekiwa Ntembe.
Government and its cooperating partners through the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock in Solwezi District is on course in distribution of fingerlings and fish feed under the Scaling Up Nutrition and Support Program. Solwezi District Fisheries Officer Matthias Lungu says the activity is being conducted in 2 wards, namely Kamalamba and Kabijimpanga. He was speaking to National Agriculture Information Services NAIS during the distribution of fingerlings and fish feed. Mr. Lungu says the beneficiaries will be rendered technical support through camp extension officers from the Ministry of Agriculture. Meanwhile, a son to beneficiary, Prudence Piri, says the program will reduce the stunting and malnutrition levels in the district.
We expect them to actually, after constructing the pond, they have to actually grow the fish. We have given them fingerlings for starts, and in our program under Scaling Up Nutrition, the sustainability of the program is that we intend to actually yield that need for farmers to engage into aquaculture activities in the interest of nutrition as our key factor, as well as also empowerment in terms of money, that is a business.
Today we've received the fish. We are so happy, and these are the ponds, as you can see, where we will put our fish, and then we'll be here feeding the fish. We are so much committed because it is going to help our children in feeding them proper nutrition, because at the moment they are really lacking in a lot of things. So the fish, it's a good start. So we are really grateful for the initiators of this program, and also for the women themselves for the commitments that they've shown.
We go for our final break. We still have more stories thereafter.
On the pitch of life, you've got to choose your game and who you play with. Your people. You get what I mean?
Oh, that is so true, Mr. Easy.
Because when you need a bit of support, there's the people you can count on. People who are there for you, no matter what.
Guess we are always here for them.
Choose who to play with.
With Bet Power, you can chat, message, or call real people round the clock. This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power.
So here's how to pay using Airtel Money. Ensure your decoder is turned on and tuned to channel 1. Dial *778#, then select the option that says Make Payment. Select Pay TV, then select Muvi TV. Enter the 12-digit smart card number, then enter the amount you wish to pay. Enter the Muvi TV account number, omitting the dash before the last digit. Then select the amount you wish to pay.
For inquiries, call customer care on 0764 250055 or 0764 250052 or 0978 732 411 or 0978 732 412.
Where's Bob? Anyone seen Bob? Has anyone seen Bob? Bob? Bob! Bob!
Over here!
Where?
Over here!
How did you get in there?
With my Airtel Money MasterCard.
Airtel Money MasterCard? But you don't even have a bank account. How did you get a card?
Well, it's not a card, but it works just like one. It's virtual, so no plastic, and it's safer.
But what are you doing there?
I want to buy Nancy a birthday gift, book my flight tickets, renew my Big Click subscription, and order shipment.
For all things online, the Airtel Money MasterCard. It's not a card, but works just like one. Get one on the Airtel Money menu on your phone.
And now for the rest of the news. Kasempa District Town Council has been ordered to pay over 4.6 million kwacha to the National Pension Scheme Authority NAPSA for failing to remit pension contribution. This is in a matter where the District Town Council was charged with 4 counts of failing to pay contributions to NAPSA. Particular of the offence are that between 11th February 2015 and 31st of January 2020, the accused failed to pay contributions to NAPSA as pension contribution. When the matter came up before Kasempa Magistrate, Resident Magistrate Sandras Makai for plea, the accused pleaded guilty to the offences. Kasempa District Town Council Treasurer Elias Chota disclosed that the council could not remit the pension contributions to NAPSA due to inadequate funds. Kasempa Resident Magistrate Samakai found the council guilty based on its own admission of the offences. In mitigation, the town council appealed to the court to exercise maximum lenience by giving them time to settle their obligations. Passing his judgment, Magistrate Samakai ordered the local authority to sit and engage NAPSA on the payment modalities before 15th March 2022. The Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA has noted with concern an incident of possible water pollution in the Kamfinsa stream following a road traffic accident involving a truck carrying chemicals along the Ndola-Kitwe dual carriageway. Preliminary investigations by a team of inspectors from ZEMA indicate that a truck belonging to Mao's Trucking loaded with 56 tons of sodium hydroxide plunged into the Kamfinsa stream after the driver lost control. Sodium hydroxide is a corrosive and reacts violently when in contact with water. It can cause damage and severe burns when in contact with the eyes or skin. This is therefore poses danger to human life and the environment. As a precautionary measure, the agency wishes to advise members of the public, especially those in and around downstream of the Kamfinsa stream, to avoid the use of or coming into contact with the water from the Kamfinsa stream. Detailed investigations will be undertaken after the truck has been lifted out of the stream, and the public will be informed of the findings and action taken against the transporter. This is according to a statement issued by Zambia Environmental Management Agency ZEMA Corporate Affairs Manager Friday Piri in Lusaka. And finally, in the world of sports, Youth, Sports and Arts Minister Elvis Nkandu has disclosed his ministry is negotiating with key sectors to facilitate for tax waivers and incentives to private sector entities that sponsor various sports disciplines in the country as a way of cementing partnerships. Nkandu also says his ministry is working towards ensuring the creation of a conducive environment for investment in sport by promoting the establishment of local sport manufacturing companies through targeted initiatives. He was speaking during stakeholders meeting Thursday morning. Mr. Nkandu says sport is an important tool for development and economic freedom for the country. He notes the country is faced with a challenge for youth unemployment, stating that the negative effects have the capacity to affect everyone through the increased crime rate, teenage marriages and pregnancies, drug, alcohol abuse, and increased STI infection rate.
Of Youth, Sports and Arts, Elvis Nkandu says the government is working together with all stakeholders in sponsoring sports activities in communities, and young people are likely to be engaged in physical activities to prevent them from bad habits. Speaking during the stakeholders meeting in Lusaka, 17th February 2022, Mr. Nkandu says the ministry is using in excess of 1 million kwacha per month to maintain each stadium in the country, such Hero Stadium and many others. He has further called on all stakeholders to invest in the sports industry and development for the country.
The sport development. This program targets mass participation and competitive sport talent identification by promoting community sport, workplace sport, women and girls in sport, protection of the rights of sports persons, anti-doping, inclusive sport, podium performance program, and sport education and accreditation system of coaches. In C, we have also regional and international games. The program helps the ministry facilitate sport participation in regional and international events for all our sport corps. However, in the 2022 budget, the ministry has a shortfall of 67 million to enable us achieve our set objectives.
Meanwhile, the Bola Bay Chief Executive Officer, Justin Palmer, says there is a need for Zambian people to work on the products of Zambians by upsteering the administration to substitute sports a lot more for it to be a more attractive marketing vehicle in the industry. Caroline Mwanza reporting for Muvi TV News, Lusaka.
That's it for the primetime news this evening. To wrap up, we look at the headlines. ERB rejects ZESCO's collection fees increase bid. The Post newspaper resurrects as the Supreme Court rules it was never liquidated. UPND takes interest in Lusambo allegations of double-dealing civil servants. Shakas pleads for more time for Bali to deliver. Southern province in threats of low crop yields following floods. Well, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to watch the main news at 21:15 hours. On behalf of the entire production crew, my name is Keith Mwamba. Good evening and God bless.